We are back with Creative Spaces. Today we're taking some time out to go in a different direction. Margaret Moraskie is joining us today, fabulous marketer, incredible retail expert, and frankly a genius problem solver who very much believes in creativity, kind of at the foundation of figuring out how to carve through complex problems and complicated challenges. So she's joining us today to talk about retail and the consumer and the changing dynamics that she and he are going through to try to make decisions about what to buy or not to buy, but more importantly, what to experience and what to connect with.
So I've been thinking a lot about connectivity, relationships, my own with my family, my own with my friends, what I do on a daily basis. And I think that this movement that is happening is about people taking a breath and stepping away from consumerism and the madness that we see every day. And that's not to say that women and men will not shop, because I'd be hard-pressed to believe that a woman will stop shopping. But there is this moment in time where folks are taking a step back and they want that to be more meaningful. And what keeps me up at night when I'm up at night and it's not Netflix is how do you connect to a consumer or a person without knowing them intimately?
Yep. Yeah, and we've obviously talked about this over lots of lunches and cocktails and things over the years. As we've evolved this conversation, the conversation has changed too. We've said for many years the homogeneity of retail. No matter where you are in America, you could close your eyes and open it, and I wouldn't tell you what city you're in, and they kind of all look the same. Mm-hmm. The malls kind of all look the same. The store experiences are all the same. And it's a little bit of a metaphor for what's happening. The kind of vanilla state, so to speak, of experiences that people are having versus what you're saying, which is the truth of what I really need, really want, actually.
Well,
right? That's more profound, no?
It's even more frightening to me because you have the similarity, and then now what I hear and see, and we love data and we love research and we love our analysis, is that movie Minority Report, which however many years ago seemed frightening, that you were going to get your own ad as you walked in and you thought that wasn't possible. And the inundation of information that we get now is about personalization and the one-on-one and blah, blah, blah. And it is almost less personal to me as we go all the way to the data and the science, that we're losing while humanity and people are looking for a core connection, a reason for being, all of that. And so I'm a little bit frightened, not with being marketed to by what's relevant to me, but frightened by the depersonalization of personalization.
Yep. Right. It's almost like brands have worked harder and harder to get closer and closer into our lives. And somewhere along the line, they crossed the line.
I agree.
And they got too close, and we didn't invite them in, right? We didn't allow that kind of level of intimacy.
Exactly. We love our catchphrases, right? You love opening up and seeing that retail is dying every day. But we see success stories too. Mm-hmm. And I think what's dying, and if you think of it as evolution, it's adapt or die. So,
and this is no exception.
No.
Every industry, right?
Stop trying to market to the customer or put her in an environment that comes from 1972 because he has different needs, and the people who will make a difference are the ones who adapt to. We talk about experience, but it really is experience. It's something different.
Right, me. Give me what I'm looking for. What, again, kind of back to what we were saying earlier, connect me to something meaningful.
When I want it.
Right, of course. Yeah, it could be just a space. It could be just a short moment of peace or clarity or silence or just in kind of crazy noise, but you just want to escape it. That's not a brand moment. And the classic 1972 version of shopping is the salespeople wait for someone to walk in the store. Of course, the shopping experience is very different than the buying experience. Now with the mobile devices, you have a very different kind of experience, and we're almost always disappointed. We may shop
Everything's-
and buy, but we're almost always
Because
disappointed.
everything's accessible. I think that retailers today are potentially looking for a different silver bullet than the one that they have. So my point is, if you have a unique value proposition, you don't have to come up with a new value proposition. Just need to adapt how you put it in front of the consumer or make it available for consumption.
Yep. So thinking creatively about what has to be done, what are we starting to see emerge, or what are you starting to feel as from your purview, and I have my own views as well, what are we starting to see emerge that's successful? Is the combination of what, this and that, or that vibe that some, let's call it a retail experience in some way, what are they bringing to life that's connecting people such that they're sticking around?
It's not an overt buying process. So I'm really intrigued and have been for a while with some of this social shopping. I have hosted trunk shows at my home. I'm not bringing my friends in and selling them $10,000 worth of jewelry or beauty product or anything like that. I'm hosting a champagne brunch with 25 friends, and I'm enjoying that experience. And at the end of the day, they're walking away with a quality product or skincare or whatever the case may be.
But the product's not the reason they came.
They came for a party.
They came to hang out, right? For a
They
champagne
came to
brunch.
hang out.
Right.
Or we go, my girlfriends and I will go and have lunch, and by way of getting to said destination, happen to shop.
Right.
It's not linear anymore, and there's too much information at my fingertips to try and sell me something outright.
Yep.
A promotion isn't going to get me somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, and I see that in e-commerce also, that if the lowest common denominator is an email to get me out of my chair to go shopping in New York in January, that's a last gasp hope that maybe I'll make a change and get in my car, or I'll walk if I live somewhere near a store. That's not going to solve the retail problem. And so at the time we have so many stores closing and bankruptcies, and this struggle, we were talking about a brand earlier this morning, the struggle with, well, what do I do now? Well, let's just do everything.
Right.
Let's just spray it all out there, or something will work. You would really imagine that brands would be stepping back and overhauling and changing what they're doing to solve the problem. And yet they have a hard time doing that because they're still so caught up with what they have to do to hit their numbers and kind of follow through on everything that was the strategies for the season. Like, how do we break out of that?
It goes back to what we talked about before. We need a strategy. We need to make money. We need demand, and there will be demand. We have to think differently about how we get it and what we say to the consumer. And when we say it, how many emails do you have in your inbox?
That I'll admit to. More than 15,000. Yeah.
Exactly. And we open them, right? We open them because of the business that we're in and what we do. Right. But the last time, and I love email as a medium, let me just say that. It's interesting what engages me. And it's usually not an email that's targeted to sell me anything. It's an email that's telling me or talking to me. And so I don't know that every contact has to sell so overtly.
Doesn't it come down to why, ultimately?
Why should I let you into my life?
Yep, right. From the consumer's point of view, why should I let you into my life? And from the brand point of view, why is this happening? I don't understand. Why is this happening, and what do I do about it so that I don't wreck the business I'm in order to be in the business that I have to be? That's a tough change, but like we've seen with lots and lots of industries that have not evolved, extinction is not a choice if you don't adapt.
Agreed. It's just going to happen.
It's just going to happen, yeah.
The evolution is interesting. I think it's exciting. I think that this is a great time for brands and retailers to play and experiment and find out something different with an inordinate amount of information.
Yep, now we have all the data that we need to be able to understand. We need another layer is part of what we're talking about today.
Absolutely.
That layer of understanding about how he or she has evolved and changed. What am I passionate about? What does get me up out of my chair? What gets me feeling good about myself? That transformative part of all of us that just want to be a little bit better.
Sometimes simplicity is the smartest thing you've ever heard. The perspective that you get and the innovation that you can drive from there is where good ideas are incubated. I think in the space of organizations today too, there is the good ideas don't come out of one office somewhere in the ivory tower either. I've heard some folks that I really look up to, and they look to have a mentor-mentee relationship with millennials, so that they learn different things about mobile apps or whatever the case may be. I think there is in the spaces and the quiet is where folks are innovating, and those are the people who are going to win.
I totally agree with that. The spaces and the cracks is where the innovation is. Now the crack will grow as you exploit it if you've come up with the right idea. But the bigger brands, the scaled brands who have seemingly more to lose than to gain with experimenting, aren't going to go there. Often dismissed because, it's just too small, it's not worth the effort. But what gets lost somehow in there is everything is measurable. I mean, it's the joy in our industry, but also most things can be measured. Now, you can't measure love and you can't measure relationship vibes and those kinds of things with math. Yeah, those things potentially are coming, but lots of other organizations have tried to figure that out, and no one can predict. Last weekend, probably after 6 years of never listening to Frank Sinatra, I just got in a Frank Sinatra mood. No way Spotify figures that out. No way.
Didn't even show up as a recommendation.
No, there's no way. And nor could Amazon actually predict exactly what I'm going to need next in my life if I'm exploring something brand new. And so the human element is such a big part of the experimentation responsibility we have, I guess. And you often say this as well, how do you earn the right as a brand to step into that intimate relationship?
I think it's privilege. I think that brands have the privilege to come into my life. And instead of, we will be here and we will sell you something and you will buy it, it's now, because I have all of the information, I will allow you to be my favorite.
Right. Yep.
I will invite you into my space.
The skating backwards metaphor definitely is relevant in the retail category and in marketing more generally, that we have to be pushing forward. We have to innovate. Again, that risk of just keeping it status quo and just nibbling on the edges, I know that drives you crazy. Just a little tiny, let's just mess around and see what we can figure out with little tiny dollars. That's not going to change a broken industry or an industry that's gone through such dynamics.
You need the trust. You need the trust and the faith and the confidence to do it. But I think back to the point is, it's better than the alternative. And I'd rather test and learn and experiment and innovate and still be around.
Yep, as hard as it is, because it's not easy to
It's
come
not
up with
easy.
these things. Yeah.
It's impossible sometimes.
Yeah. Right.